Hello, and welcome into another edition of the Earl Hall Show. I'm really excited today. We are going to have a great guest for you. Tina Siemens is here with us today. And Tina, has a very interesting background. Tina Siemens is an inspiring author, entrepreneur, community leader, born in Mexico. In Texas in 1977 with her family. They immigrated there. She became a proud U.S. citizen in 1986. Look, Tina and her husband of 36 years, John, are the proud parents of two sons, their wives, and four cherished grandchildren. Together, they own JW&T Incorporated. As a liaison between cultures in her community, Tina builds bridges by focusing on shared values, earning recognition as Gaines County's Citizen of the Year in 2015. She's also the author of two books, seminal Some People Never Give Up and The Little Sandals That Could, with a third book on Comanches and Mennonites on the way. Tina is the owner of the West Texas Living Heritage Museum, which opened in 2023, celebrating the region's rich history and heritage. Please join me in welcoming Tina Siemens. Tina, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hall, for having me. What an honor. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity.
Oh, well, the pleasure is definitely mine with this. You've done so many just great, amazing things. And kind of tell us, how did this all begin for you, to get to where you are now? What's that story about?
It's definitely been a journey,
Yeah.
many ups and downs, but with the amazing opportunity that my family got when we were able to immigrate and to become U.S. citizen, that just opened up so many doors. And so for
Mm.
me, growing up, I was 8, kind of aging myself here, but I was 8 when we immigrated. And up to that point, I only spoke German. And so learning a new culture,
Wow.
learning a new language, and then just having to physically work so hard to
Mm.
get ground and building a future here in Texas and in America, it was a very difficult journey. But you know what? If I had to do it all over again, I would do so in a heartbeat because it's such a valuable journey that I've been able to glean from, and it made me who I am today.
Well, that's something, I am a true believer that, it's not just the good things that make us who we are. It is also
Yeah,
those challenges that we go through that actually
absolutely.
define the person that we're going to be. One of the things I really want to ask you about is, with you migrating to the United States, especially having German as your first language, and going through the things that you've built up until this point, what's maybe the most unexpected lesson you've learned in this journey?
That's a great question. The most unexpected lesson, I would think that for me to become an author. Like
Okay.
I loved history, I loved writing, but I never dreamt, even with my first book, Seminole, Some People Never Give Up, I just started that process. I needed to travel to all of the destinations that my ancestors had been.
Hmm.
And so I felt it very um, valuable for me to know what did they, what was it in their environment that made them move to that certain place and then
Hmm.
eventually move away. And so traveling, so it was a 20-year process for me to
Wow.
travel and gather, looking through archives and reading every material and English, might I say,
Oh,
to read the material, and then to I just wanted to have a written account. Timelines speak to me because there's
okay.
every human being has a beginning and an end, but it's the dash in between that matters, right? And so
Mm.
for me to do a timeline, that's my was my ultimate goal to have that for my children and grandchildren and future generations. But then as I began the writing it started looking like chapters. It started looking like it could
Mm.
be a lot bigger than just a simple timeline that would fit on 2-3 pages. And so it evolved as I was doing the process. And so
Hmm.
I think for me to have a published account of my family's history, is one of those things I would have never dreamt of. But now, wow, what
Yeah.
opportunities that has bestowed upon me.
While you were doing the research, were the people that you were researching, because you talked about looking through different things, were you able to talk to these people, or were they already passed, or were they still here?
No, both. So
Hmm.
the Mennonites, they got their start in the Netherlands, and so that was the
Okay.
1530s, and so that was all archives. And so I traveled there. I did guided tours. I did tours on my own, and then from the Netherlands, I went to what is present day Poland, and then from Poland, I
Wow.
went to Ukraine, present day Ukraine, and then from there, my ancestors moved to Canada, and then from Canada to Old Mexico, and then eventually to Texas with my family. So I needed to be in each one of those. So I went all the way back to the 1500s and gleaned
Wow.
and gathered information, and then that is the story of Seminole.
Going through as much as you've gone through, I mean, what do you think really drives you to wake up each morning and pursue what it is that you're pursuing?
The need to preserve,
Okay.
and because if we forget our history, then we forget
Mm.
what brought us to this point. And so for me to be able to preserve history, not only because it interests me and I value the lessons I've been able
Yeah.
to, but if I now am able to verbally give that to my children and grandchildren and community, uh, but then there will be maybe hopefully somebody in in my family that will carry on the baton after I'm gone. So for me, that is the drive, is let's not forget history, but by learning history, it gives us the springboards of what not to do and what to repeat, that which
Yeah.
was positive.
Absolutely. And with, what you're doing with the museum, I mean, I'm sure that's a big part of preserving a lot of things that you're discovering. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And the name West Texas Living Heritage Museum, I
Hmm.
chose that name uh, very intentionally with the word living in it, because I don't want people to just come through the front door and look at archives, look at pictures, or look at tangible uh, antiques, but
Mm.
I'm keeping the history alive by demonstration. I give classes on, so this coming Tuesday I'll have a pepper jelly canning class. So I'm inviting the community to come and just glean how to not only gather from your garden the peppers, but how to preserve. What can you do with that? And so I give canning classes in meat canning. So we have butchering days where
Wow.
we start the calf is being butchered right there on site, and by the evening I have it in a mason jar and a pressure canner. So
That's amazing.
I teach the history. So keeping history alive by giving the next generation the insight on this is what you can do. We There's more ways to get a meal on the table than go to your local supermarket. But if you
Yeah.
know the how, then that just opens up such an array of possibilities. And
Yeah, it
that
does
is what
make
I
you
focus
wonder.
on. Yeah.
It does make you wonder because, I mean, both of my grandparents were farmers. And,
Yeah.
you know, uh, as a boy coming up in the, late 60s, early 70s,
Yeah.
living on the farm, you had to kill the chickens and the hogs
Absolutely.
and get the eggs, and you had to know how to slaughter them. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, even if I had to do it again, I could.
Uh-huh.
But so much of this generation, if they had to do that, it wouldn't even be a thing. I mean, who
Exactly.
has chickens and goats and cows and horses anymore? I
Yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
chickens and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a very interesting thing, just how society has moved
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
grown.
Yeah. Hmm.
For better or for worse, but we're in a different spot now. But just seeing that you're preserving those things and showing those things, especially with the gardening, is extremely powerful to me.
Yeah.
With you have such a fascinating story because
Thank you.
you're not native to the United States. Yeah, right. And by the way, everyone, I'm talking to author and just great entrepreneur Tina Siemens today, and we're talking about her experiences that she's gone through since she's been in this country and the history that she's been able to discover about her own family and even parts of this country as well. With all that being said, what is one thing maybe you wish you had known when you first started on this journey?
I wish I would have known that a lot of the footworks that it took me years to pursue,
Hmm.
somebody else did that legwork already, and it would have made it
Oh,
easier.
wow.
That would have been so much easier. But on the flip side, then I would have not maybe valued it as much had I not really searched for it myself.
Okay.
But to know. Uh, you don't have to, for those who are listening, you don't have to do the same steps that I do. Uh, Align yourself with somebody that does, so you don't have to do all that footwork. So like I said, it took me 20 years to do what is now seminal. Some people never give up. And had I known, but language barrier was huge and it was very real.
Okay.
Culture shock was very real. And so for me to have been able to have somebody come alongside and said, Tina, I noticed
Yeah.
this is your interest. Here's some resources. But I did it the hard way by looking for those nuggets and those archives and the travel plans, all of that. So that would have made life a lot easier.
Awesome. Once again, here we're here with Tina Siemens, our special guest on the Earl Hall Show. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Are you ready to share your story with an audience eager to learn from your journey? Welcome to the Earl Hall Show, the podcast where entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and creatives share their unique insights and experiences. With over 15,000 subscribers on YouTube and episodes promoted on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, your story will reach an engaged and growing audience. As a guest, you'll join me for a 20-minute pre-recorded video interview aired every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Book your spot now for just $49. This offer won't last long. The Earl Hall Show. Your story deserves to be heard. In today's fast-paced world, success often feels like a numbers game. Bank accounts, titles, prestige. But what if true success went deeper than that? I'm Earl Hall, author of Mind Your Business, a new book that invites you to look beyond just profiles and into what really drives you as an entrepreneur. Mind Your Business isn't just about making money. It's about understanding your purpose, overcoming self-doubt, and cultivating a mindset that's resilient and grounded. I've built this book on hard-earned insights, stories from my journey, and lessons from other entrepreneurs like you. This book will help you shift your perspective, ignite your passion, and align your business with what truly matters. So, if you're ready to redefine success, Mind Your Business is available. Let's take this journey together. Grab your copy and start building a business and a life that reflects your true self. All right, welcome back in. We're here with Tina Siemens as our special guest here on the Earl Hall Show. Tina, this has really been interesting for me just listening about how when you first came to the country and the things that you've been able to accomplish, you, your husband, your family, extended family, and what it is that you've been able to do. Tina, what is maybe your greatest strength and how has it served you in your work?
I think perseverance
Mhm.
and without faith, I could not have the other. So I truly believe that from a very young age, had my family stayed in Mexico, yes, God would have had a way there too. But for
Mhm.
me to be able to learn from a very young age the value of God's love, and then for me to go back hundreds of years into history, seeing the perseverance that my ancestors had, that has been a drive in my life that has just been so valuable because perseverance means so much more to me than, oh, don't give up. But I want to live
Yeah.
not giving up. I don't want to just speak the words, but I want to live it. I want to demonstrate it. I want my, uh, once I'm gone, I want people to realize that if you don't give up, you have a future.
Yeah. If you could go back to your younger self, don't we all wish we could do that, right? Go back to our
Yes,
younger selves.
absolutely.
But if you could go back to your younger self, what's one piece of advice that you would give to the young Tina?
I would say take care of yourself first, because we were so involved in making a living that I have suffered a lot of physical uh, that I wish I would not have, but I did not do so because we were so driven. We're going to make it a life for ourselves, and therefore it was hard for me to physically restrain myself and not giving a 100% and like we did so much physical labor, and that would be one thing that I would definitely strive to do less of, physical labor, not work less but work smarter. Yeah.
Wow. You know, how is this all being taken in like by your kids and your grandkids? How involved are they with the things that are going on with what you've been building?
They are very appreciative, some more so than others, but I
Hmm.
never cease to bring my grandchildren along, or have my children be a part of the first book trailer that I did for Seminole Some People
Okay.
Never Give Up. My whole family, both my sons, daughter-in-laws, and all four of my grandchildren were part of the set. So for them to be able to have the opportunities to not just hear about me telling the
Yeah.
stories, but having them involved, and so that's a huge benefit in my eyes that they will be able to have when they grow older. My grandchildren, that they will not have to, what I did, have to search so hard for their ancestry, or where are my roots. I've been
Mm-hmm.
able to provide them to them. So if they will want it, they will already have the tools in their toolbox.
Amazing. Which is so true. And I think about just the day and age that we live in now, and with social media and with being able to do videos like this, that,
Yeah,
you know, great 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 grandkids that I'll never meet will be able
yeah,
to know who their great 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 grandfather was. The same with
absolutely.
you. So it's the day and age that we live in that I can really
Mhm.
appreciate, and I'm sure that's the same way you look at it as well.
Amen. Amen.
I asked you earlier about what advice would you give yourself, but what's
Mhm.
the best piece of advice you've ever received from someone?
I think that would be the the four pillars that my mom left before she passed. And I talk about those four pillars all the time.
Hmm.
And it is love each other. And if
Wow.
you want to imagine her not having English was not her first language, so
Okay.
as an adult, it was even harder for them to learn the language. So she
Mm.
could not pronounce the TH. So she would say, love each other.
Each other. Okay.
Yes,
Hmm.
because she couldn't pronounce the TH sound. And then she would say, forgive each other,
Hmm.
and let's pray about it, and never give up. Like those are the four pillars. If we really concentrate on each one of those, that is the recipe for life, for success. Because if we personally don't harbor hard feelings to somebody else,
Hmm.
that frees me. If I love somebody else, that frees me. That gives me the person I can call up anybody and say, I'm having a
Yes.
hard day, come alongside me. And then if I pray about it, that gives me faith that something good will happen, even though it might not look like it today. And
Sure.
then if I forgive, like those are just the four pillars that have guided my adult life, and will continue. And I'm so honored to continue that which she exemplified. Both of my parents, they were such strong people,
Mm.
exemplifying that to us. And so for me to give that on to the next generation, that's the ultimate.
Wow, that is very good. That's very good. When it comes down to, like, what is it that you think you want to be remembered for? What does Tina want to be known for?
I think, again, history, the love of history. Know where your roots are. For me,
Okay.
it's not just a dusty uh, binder somewhere in an archive. It
Hmm.
speaks of the human being, the human connection. So for them to know their history, for them to know where they came from, what did it take grandma and grandpa or great grandma and grandpa
Hmm.
to where I'm here today is largely because of my ancestors. Like if I didn't know that, then I
Mm.
would not be as grounded as I am today. So know your history, know where
Yeah.
your roots are. So I encourage everyone, do your family tree. And if you don't have one, then start one from today. Start
Yeah.
one for the future generation. So they will have that anchor because we all, as a human being, we all love to belong. And
Yes.
it makes us stronger people if we know we belong, if we're loved. And so by knowing history, by knowing the stories of our ancestors, that gives us that anchor that we're not just a wishy-washy like a ship in the middle of a storm,
Absolutely.
but we've got that anchor. And from that we can build.
Absolutely. Love that answer. I'm here with Tina Siemens, bestselling author, just entrepreneur extraordinaire. Tina, how can people stay in touch with you and find out more about what it is that you're doing? How would you like folks to be able to connect with you?
Well, I am on all social media platforms, and they can connect on any one of those platforms with as Tina Siemens, or they
Hmm.
can get in touch with on my website, seminalthebook.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tina Siemens, everyone. Tina, thank you so much for being here with me on this edition of the Earl Hall Show. This has definitely been a pleasure of mine. Have been looking forward to getting you on the show for a little while now. So I'm glad that we finally were able to accomplish that. So thank you once again for sharing your
Uh,
time with us today on the Earl Hall Show.
well, thank you again for having me. It is truly an honor to share, and that's how history continues is by sharing. So, thanks for giving me the time.
You're more than welcome.